Have you ever had this feeling that the stories we tell, they aren't just for entertainment? That maybe, just maybe, they're actually a blueprint of the human mind itself? Well, get ready because we're diving into some fascinating research that suggests our very consciousness is shaped like a story.
But first, let's start with a mystery. Why is it that so many stories feel, well, kind of the same? Whether it's a huge blockbuster movie, an ancient myth, or that TV series you just binged, it's like they're all following a secret recipe.
I mean, think about it. You've got the farm boy on a desert planet who discovers a hidden power, meets a wise old mentor, and, saves the entire galaxy.
Or what about the computer programmer who finds out his whole reality is a simulation? He gets trained by a mysterious guide and becomes the savior of humanity. Sound familiar? And then there's the teenager who travels to a strange new world, the 1950s, and has to overcome a bunch of obstacles just to fix the timeline and get back home. So what is this? Is it just lazy writing, some Hollywood formula? Nope. The answer is so much deeper than that. This isn't a coincidence, people. It is evidence of a secret code, a universal blueprint that stories have been following for literally thousands of years. And today, we are going to crack that code. So this secret code actually has a name. It's called the monomyth, but you probably know it as the hero's journey. The idea was made famous by a mythologist named Joseph Campbell. This guy studied myths from all over the world and had this huge realization. They all shared the exact same fundamental structure. He figured this pattern hits us so hard because it's basically tapping into the very structure of the human mind.
So what exactly is this journey? Let's break down a really clear version of it, and we'll use our Back to the Future example to see how it works in the wild.
Okay, so let's follow Marty's path. Every journey starts in the ordinary world. For Marty, that's being a regular high school kid with a family he feels kind of stuck with. It's life before the adventure. Then, boom, the call to adventure. Something happens that shatters that normal life. For Marty, it's that frantic late-night call from Doc Brown. This leads right to crossing the threshold. When Marty floors it in the DeLorean to escape, he doesn't just drive down the street, he literally blasts into a whole new world, 1955. And there, in that new world, he has to face the ordeal. This is the big one, the central crisis where the hero confronts their greatest fear. For Marty, it's the absolutely terrifying idea that he could just blink out of existence.
All right, now for the journey home. After surviving that ordeal, the hero gets the reward. For Marty, it's nailing that guitar solo, making sure his parents fall in love, and bam, his future is secure. With that win, he starts on the road back, which for him is that heart-pounding race to the clock tower. But he's not done yet. He has to face the resurrection. This is the final climactic test. He makes it back to 1985, but now he has a new mission, save Doc. And finally, after all that, the hero returns with the elixir. He's home, but he's changed. And because he's changed, his world has changed too. His family is suddenly happy and successful. He brought back a treasure that healed his ordinary life.
Okay, so that's a pretty powerful formula for telling a good story. But what does a Hollywood script structure really have to do with how our brains work? This, right here, is where things get really wild.
To understand this, we have to jump from the world of myth and movies to philosophy. We need to look at another blueprint, not for stories, but for thought itself. And this is where we see this incredible parallel. On one hand, you have the hero's journey, the structure for how we tell stories. And on the other, you have this idea from an 18th century philosopher, Immanuel Kant, about how we think. See, Kant argued that our minds aren't just blank slates. He believed we're born with a kind of mental operating system pre-installed. And this system has rules. He called them the categories of thought. They take all the chaotic noise from the outside world and organize it into a reality we can actually understand.
So here's the big idea. What if these two blueprints, the one for stories and the one for our own thoughts, aren't just similar? What if they're actually the same thing?
This is the mind-bending connection that Rosenbaum's research points to. The stages of the hero's journey map almost perfectly onto Kant's categories for how we build reality. Just look at this. The ordinary world at the beginning? That's the hero's life as a field of pure possibility. The call to adventure makes one of those possibilities an actuality. It really happens. The ordeal? That moment of facing death or failure? That's a brush with pure negation, the threat of not existing at all. And the return with the elixir at the end? It's a perfect match for Kant's category of reciprocity. The hero gives a gift back to the world, and the world is transformed in return. The patterns aren't just kind of alike. They're what scientists call isomorphic. They have the exact same underlying shape.
So here's the takeaway. The reason we keep telling stories in this very specific shape isn't because we're unoriginal. It's because our minds are already built in that shape. Stories aren't just something we consume for fun. They are a direct reflection of our own internal wiring.
And look, this isn't just some weird, abstract idea. This has huge implications for how we understand ourselves and pretty much everything we do. You know, having a story-shaped mind is basically our #1 survival tool. It's how we take all the random, chaotic stuff happening around us and organize it into something that makes sense. It's how we learn cause and effect. And maybe most importantly, it's how we develop empathy. Stories let us run a simulation of what it's like to be someone else, to get inside their head. Basically, we use stories to make sense of our world, other people, and our own lives.
Joseph Campbell himself said it best. He said that myth, and really all stories, are the secret opening through which the inexhaustible energies of the cosmos pour into human cultural manifestation. They're how we connect the vast, confusing universe to our own human experience and give it meaning.
So, all of this leaves us with one last pretty big question. If our own consciousness is structured like a story, with its own calls to adventure, its own ordeals, its own rewards, then doesn't that mean you, right now, are living out the most important story there is? Are you the hero of your own journey?